Today we're going back once again to 1985. As in Osaka on August 28th, a special match happened in Japanese Joshi Wrestling. As the biggest babyface in Joshi at the time, Chigusa Nagayo faced no other than Dump Matsumoto in a hair versus hair death match. This is a legendary match that everyone who came in contact with Joshi Wrestling, regardless if it's through Stardom's hype in the last couple of years or through Twitter recommendations, has heard about in some capacity, as it's a match that gets pointed to regularly by the hardcore audience as one of the greatest and most important Joshi matches of all time. The match even got a new amount of hype in 2024 following the release of the series about Dump Matsumoto titled The Queen of Villains on Netflix. The match happened in front of 11,000 fans in a sold-out Osaka-jo Hall and marked the first real singles outing between those two, and followed just a week after the major Chigusa match against Devil Masami that ended in a double knockout. Here, it wasn't for any championship. It was for far more between the two of them. Pride and respect. Chigusa steps up as the biggest babyface in the world to stand face to face with the evil and sinister Dump Matsumoto, who is backed by the atrocious alliance and has been terrorizing the Crush Girls, Chigusa Nagayo, and the rest of the All Japan babyfaces for the last couple of months. Dump had a point to prove in this match. She wanted to destroy Chigusa right in the ring, embarrass her, and show that she's the rightful number one heel in Joshi Wrestling. Knowing both of these motivations heading into the match, mixed with the hatred for each other on personal as well as storytelling level, makes what happens once the bell rings even more special. The atmosphere of this match was just electric, and it started as Dump Matsumoto walks out flanked by the atrocious lines. Meanwhile, Chigusa Nagayo comes out on the shoulders of a Crush Girls partner Linus Asuka to loud Chigusa chants from the young female audience in the crowd. Chigusa looked as locked in as she ever was, ready to go to war with the scissors already in hand. She wanted to defeat the monster that Dump Matsumoto is on this very day. Chaos broke out before the match even officially began as a masked wrestler of the atrocious alliance takes the spotlight, and it turns out to be none other than the real Dump Matsumoto under the mask. Meanwhile, Kaoru Kage, who made her debut on the show, cosplayed Matsumoto during her entrance as part of the mind games that Dump has planned for Chigusa. Dump used this little bit of distraction she got and went right after Chigusa from the start of the match, wrapped a chain around Chigusa's neck, and the crowd started to cheer the hero on as loud as they could. From the first moment of the match, it was made clear that a lot needs to go right for Nagayo to stand a chance in the match, as Dump was not only as dominant as ever, but also let Nagayo no time to breathe or have any hope in the early stages of the match. Whenever Chigusa seemed to turn things around and turn the dominance around, Dump found the way to look even more dominant by introducing weapons into the fight, as she grabs the scissors that Devil Masami had in her hand ringside and just stabs and stabs and stabs Nagayo, as with each stab the audience screams louder and louder in horror and terror, as they are seeing their hero suffering right in front of their eyes. Dump Matsumoto on this very day had just fun playing with Nagayo in the ring, provoking the crowd, who just got louder and louder with each stab with the scissors. It took Chigusa around 6 minutes to get her first real shot in of the match, as she clobbered the steel can ringside over Dump's head. But instead of stopping Dump's momentum, it made Dump even more angry, and she got even more brutal. Matsumoto keeps on stabbing Nagayo with the scissors as blood is slowly but surely pouring down Nagayo's face. Chigusa just stumbles across the ring at one point, giving everyone in the crowd a look at her bloody face as Matsumoto just continues to stab her. A fantastic moment as the crowd just screams in horror every single time they see Nagayo's face. Nagayo's babyface instinct in this match was just perfect, and she just plays the character to a perfection that we have rarely seen wrestling before. She's seen as one of the greatest babyfaces of all time for a reason, and this is one of the two moments in the match where we can see that especially. Matsumoto grabs the ring microphone, lays in one shot after another, hitting Nagayo with the table and... Matsumoto grabs the ring microphone, lays in one shot after another, hitting Nagayo with a table, and then the most powerful thing, in my opinion. Matsumoto grabs the ring microphone, lays in one shot after another, hitting Nagayo with a table, and then the most powerful moment, in my opinion, in a match happens. At this point, everyone in the audience, everyone at home, and everyone ringside has realized that Nagayo is completely getting destroyed and has no chance against the unstoppable force that Dump Matsumoto was on this very day. A towel from ringside flew into the ring as people wanted this fight to end. They didn't want to see their hero suffer from much longer, but instead of giving up and accepting the loss, Nagayo picked up the towel, looked at it, and threw it back out again to power up one last time. A magical moment mixed with the perfect selling of Nagayo and the crowd just going insane. She didn't want to lose. She didn't want to get embarrassed and tries to turn things around. A perfect moment for Nagayo to start a comeback in a traditional wrestling standpoint. To get back on track and have the perfect Cinderella story that everyone in the crowd wanted her to have, as they hoped she can turn things around and defeat the evil Matsumoto. But Dump? She wasn't impressed by this at all. Actually, she was unfazed as she takes the chair, smashes it over Nagayo's head, and the referee starts counting to 10. Everyone thought, okay, she will stand up. But as the referee reaches the 10 and calls for the bell, everyone is in shock. Dump Matsumoto wins the match via knockout and defeats Chigusa Nagayo to the shock of everyone, as this was one of the biggest surprises in all of Japanese pro wrestling. Nobody expected Nagayo, the top babyface, to lose this match. But she did not only lose, she stood no chance in the match at all. She was destroyed, embarrassed, and defeated by her rival. She gets dragged back into the ring as one of the most dramatic moments happens. As Dump starts to cut Nagayo's hair, the girls are seen in the crowd and they're just bawling and screaming their eyes out. Dump drags Chigusa over the ropes so everyone in the crowd, every fan of Nagayo, can take a closer look, drawing even more screams from the fans. This is wrestling at its perfection and far beyond a wrestling match. It's emotions, it's spectacle, it's real. An all-time classic that went down in wrestling history. In the mid-80s, All Japan already had the momentum, but this match brought Joshi Wrestling to an entire new level of mainstream visibility. The sold-out Osaka-jo Hall and incredible TV ratings generated an extra fan interest and made this match a huge success. The emotional investment of fans, many openly cried to the post-match haircut, became one of the most defining images of Japanese wrestling in the 80s and is pointed to today, even 40 years later, regularly in many wrestling and Joshi circles. Matsumoto revolutionized the role of a heel in women's wrestling completely. From now on, it was violent, theoretical, and Matsumoto revolutionized the role of a heel in women's wrestling completely. From now on, it was violent, theoretical, unapologetical, chaotic, with no remorse, and the only goal being destroying the popular babyface. Future generations of wrestling villains, from Bull Nakano, who learned under the tree of Dump Matsumoto, to modern-day stardom wrestlers like Natsuko, draw directly from Dump's wrestling style as a heel and added their own sprinkles to it. For me, the 1985 clash between Dump Matsumoto and Chigusa Nagayo isn't just a great match. It's the single great spectacle I've seen in wrestling. Nothing else captures emotion with such raw and unfiltered intensity. From the very first moment, every segment feels alive, heavy, and charged with something deeper than competition. The chaos, the violence, the desperation, the crowd screaming as their life depended on it. It's all operating on a level that most wrestling matches can't even dream of reaching. And then there's the aftermath. The haircut ceremony doesn't even feel part of a show. It feels like history happening in real time. The wailing fans, the sheer heartbreak in the arena, the symbolic humiliation. It takes the match from being dramatic to being unforgettable. It's wrestling stripped to its purest form. Emotion, sacrifice, and the story blended into something far beyond sport. To this day, nothing else has hit me the same way. It remains the pinnacle of what wrestling can be when everything, like characters, stakes, performance, and the atmosphere, aligns perfectly. For me, this is just the perfect wrestling match.